Nice place, mate.
Yeah, I'll tell you now, I wish it was mine.
I like the fact that you've gone for a green plant for our green conversation.
Well, being Irish, I've got to, be as green as possible, so-called the greenest country in the world, Well, as you're probably aware, Tristan, my name is Carl. I'm a sales team leader here at Transport Exchange Group. For my sins, I've been working here nearly 5 years, helping drivers flee, anyone that wants to get their van out on the road. So, it's been, exciting times at TEG. How about yourself?
Yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm Tristan from Business Choice Direct. My role is as commercial director these days. I've been at the business for 8 years, industry best part 20. I've worked with TEG since the very kind of start of our partnership 7-8 years ago, and it's definitely been one of the most enjoyable and rewarding parts of my career. So I guess being sat here today with you kind of proves that.
Yeah, perfect. Just obviously today's topic is more about around, the emissions, the way the future's going to be going for, I guess, BCD, TEG in a whole, and just the UK logistics industry itself. So just kind of wondering from your side, what you kind of seeing or arising from, courier fleet owners coming towards you guys on the insurance side?
In regards to running a cleaner business, we're also getting asked more questions about the use of electric vans. Can they be insured? Are they easy to insure? What are claims like? Awful lot of questions like that. I don't know, sat here, if I would suggest that's the first place to start. I think if I was running a courier business, and I'm not so lucky, but I would be looking at, I think, first of all, proper driver and people management. Some companies that are watching this might have telematics within their systems, so they're tracking how fast their drivers are going. Ultimately, the faster you drive, the more fuel you burn, the more damage that causes to the environment, right? Obviously, it racks up your fuel costs and puts you more at risk at claims. So electric vehicles is being asked about. I guess it's the most obvious. It's very much a buzz thing at the minute. But if I was a courier firm looking to go greener and save money, that's the first place I'd start.
Yeah, and we can see it on our side as well. Currently, you can feel operators coming in. Even the owner driver, maybe being a bit more eco-conscious in them kind of terms. Where the old gas guzzlers, they're kind of going out, and even I'm getting asked a lot of questions on the phone and other, I guess, from the inbound kind of side of things, where talk about the ULEZ, which is topical around the BBC at the moment. You see something changing every day. So I can feel like we're moving forward. I think there's going to be a culture absolute change, but are we there yet? That's
No, we're not there yet. We'll get there slowly but surely. I'm sure we'll get into it around the infrastructure and other areas around electric vehicles. You mentioned the gas guzzlers though. I was talking to we have an exclusive product with the RAC for breakdown, and I was talking with the RAC only last week. And 60% of the BCD clients that are currently with the RAC broke down last year in terms of frequency of claim, which is an extraordinary amount. And obviously, there's good reasons for that. The girls and guys are out on the road a lot more than any other van user in the UK. If you're a builder or a plumber, you drive to someone's house, it's parked on the side of the road. But everyone out there doing deliveries, you're on the road. Feels like 24/7 sometimes to me. So naturally these vehicles do break down, but it's the older vehicles, the over 10 years old, the ones that are more likely to be susceptible to US charges, to the gas guzzling, again, to use your phrase, to cause more damage to the environment. They're the ones. So again, if you are thinking about a new van, maybe you can't stretch to electric, or you're concerned about the infrastructure issues, just buy a newer van. It's greener, it's less likely to break down, and it'll save you money in the long run.
Yeah, and that's what we would always say, when I get asked the question more times than not, what van should I choose? Our go-to is usually the most affordable one, but now it's kind of getting the more efficient. There's no point to going out and buying a brand new, van, I guess, that could be deemed unacceptable in 5 to 7 years down the road, that kind of way. So we've brought in a few things ourselves at the moment, like to kind of, I guess, help with the emissions, with the TEG, with the platform itself. Looking at, we have a lot of things in the future we'll just speak about. But currently at the moment, just even as you said, the ULEZ, it's great for a load poster or a shipper to be able to indicate that to a carrier on the platform. So you know that they know that this is going to be more of a, it's good for the person who has the cargo compliant vehicle, because they can charge probably less going in, maybe secure the load, and then all the way up to the chain. You can look at the bigger companies wanting that, for their obviously green initiatives for their own customers. So that's one of the great tools on the exchange, and then just obviously helping out cutting the emissions with the live availability map that we forgot. So it kind of cuts down the annoyance of just driving around like a headless chicken looking for a load, where the shipper can just pinpoint the person for the Pacific model on that term. So we've seen crazy number that it actually came up. I was only showing the team from the last 4 years. I'm obviously with the company about 5 years now. That we only had 4,500 members back then. That's now doubled. But with that, the loads have doubled as well. So you can only imagine the emissions. So we're trying to, do our part in that sense of the way to, cover all that dead mileage. And as you mentioned earlier on, the fuel, some great insights rolling into it. But I kind of seen the kind of changes with numbers of, like I said, the bluer chip companies where it comes to the EV side and, what they're trying to come out. But I was just doing a bit of deep dive and, just kind of on our members, the quantity. We were speaking about how many members you guys got insured just on vans. And it's crazy to see the likes of DPD, the Royal Mail, DHL, the kind of quantity that they're kind of trying to push them down, but all different kind of mode. Everyone just thinks electric. They think charging ports and stuff. But I don't know if you've noticed on the newer DPD vans, there's kind of like a green wire going through it. So it was funny enough, their initiative, I believe, is starting out this year. And what it's trying to do is get this new HVO fuel. So, it's not hydro, it's not electric. It's a lot better for the environment. I think it's called hydro-treated vegetable oil fuel. So, all the fuel stuff we don't use, and it's running bloody HGVs across the country. So I believe they're knocking their emissions down by, well over 80%. And then obviously Royal Mail, they're bringing out new vehicles, but bigger, spacing, so they get more on, because you probably noticed on your side, probably have a lot more multi-drop kind of vans probably coming, looking to get insured, right? So they've been changing, and then DHL, obviously, they range from last stop deliveries all the way up to, air cargo, and they've commissioned, I think, 16 electric planes in California being California, right? So, hippie capital of the world. So I feel this is kind of where, the change is happening at the moment, and we're kind of looking at that space ourselves, and we got some, I guess down in the TEG laboratory that I guess the product team are working on to, make that more visible on the team. But, in terms of the insurance, have you seen any kind of other vehicles, on top of the EVs, not just electric? Have you seen anything else?
Yeah, I guess we've seen it all. I wouldn't say we've seen planes in California, and if we do, I don't think we'll be able to help them. I think at the end of the day, whatever a potential customer is driving or carrying, that's not really ever a problem for BCD or the products that we offer. When they give us a call, or, when girls and guys give us a call, and the question is, we're using a different fuel, it's still a van. So from our insurer's perspective, from our perspective, giving them insurance is absolutely no problem at all. And if you're looking down an alternative fuel route, don't fear that. The thing to keep an eye out for, if anything, is the actual cost of the van. I was actually looking at it on Van Trader earlier on today. It's about 1,500 electric vans available in the UK, but I wasn't looking at the other fuels. And the most expensive ones are well over 100,000.
Wow.
You can pick up second-hand ones for about £1,000, but there'll be some pretty old batteries. There'll be some concerns about that. So the area where you might come a little bit unstuck, it's just really important you have a chat with us. Some insurers will be used to insuring vans of all sizes up to a value of maybe 40k, sometimes a bit bigger. Some of these electric vans are going for 70, 80. And what that can mean is that ultimately, if there was an incident, it's going to cost more to replace it. It's going to cost more to get a replacement vehicle. Parts might take longer. All of these things add to insurance claims costs. And the reality is that is going to return a higher insurance premium. But what I'm not saying to anybody listening to this or watching this is don't go and look down this route. Just have a chat with us before you sign the dotted line to make sure that you're not going to get stung afterwards, because insurers, like the rest of us, are all learning about electric vehicles, alternative fuel vehicles, what it means for the environment, what it means for costs, what it means for claims. So that would be my advice to anybody. Just have a chat with us. That's what we're here to do, give you that right advice, and then ultimately, hopefully, help you make the right choice for you in terms of a potential alternative vehicle.
Yeah, and on the terms of the insurance, I was reading something about like modification. Like if someone was decide, I don't know, wants to keep their van and something like that, would you know, it would be wise to probably get in touch with you guys as well if they were looking to maybe change themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I've read some. Is it the Royal Mail? One of the big ones were remapping their ECUs to make the vehicles more efficient in terms of fuel usage. Now, I know I come from the Fast and Furious generation. When I remapped an ECU, it was to make my car go 100 miles an hour as quickly as possible. That's not what we're talking about here. So if you get in contact with us and you want to remap your ECU or do anything, add something to the van to make it more efficient. Again, that's not something to fear. Give us a call. Probably won't cost you a penny. But the worst thing you can do is not tell us. And then if there is a claim, then again, I'm not telling you at all that your claim might not be paid, but it might get delayed because suddenly someone's going to lift up the bonnet and see something perhaps they weren't expecting. So again, just talk to us.
Yeah, I think that's the wise thing to do in situations like that. Absolutely. And it's exciting times with that. But, you've got to be safe and secure. As I mentioned earlier on, we feel when we're speaking to, members or potential members, thinking again, like a Luton van. And I would always ask them, like, are you aware of, the cost of, like, the run it, like the insurance, parking as well can be, crazy, especially around the London, ULEZ zones like that. So all these things have to be covered. And then if they were to make the bold move and try to get around some sort of requirements on the insurance side, could end up with a massive bill, I guess. Yeah,
you could be out of business. Yeah. Ultimately, if you don't get your van back, you can't do your deliveries.
Yeah, and it's a tough time logistics at the moment. You've seen a few companies at the moment, succeed. Some have gone under. That's business, I guess. But I was looking at I guess it's the Arrival vans. I don't know if you were looking into them. It's like the UK kind of vans for. The eco side, that they've obviously gone into administration, unfortunately. But then you have, I think Amazon's one they call Rivian. They've just commissioned 10,000 vans. They're doing well over in Germany. Yeah. So you're getting this plus inside of both of them. So, which is, interesting to see kind of the blue chip companies really go down that kind of eco diverse vehicles. So, it's exciting times. It's probably in the news as more than anything now, or even in pop culture, I guess, in certain ways. That old Taylor Swift is getting, lambasted for using our jet miles and our carbon emissions. But, the real question is, like, are we ready for all this? And I don't know from your side, have you seen a surge of, more kind of looking for insurers?
Yeah, I've definitely seen a surge. Are we ready? Honestly, I don't know. I think it depends who you are, what you're doing, where you're doing it. I've got a friend who's recently bought a vehicle, and I've suddenly learned this phrase, range anxiety. We've all got enough worries in our life, so you don't want to be worrying about running out of electric every 5 miles. So, definitely depends on who you are.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I thought I had a phone call in from one of the potential members. And funny enough, he was like, "Yeah, I've got an eco, carbon point." I was like, "Great, this will be great. I can, tell him all the features that we can help him with." And he goes, "I just have mileage up to 35 range miles." I'm like, "Geez, you wouldn't even be able to get around the house with that, So that kind of conversation did change a little bit, but. On that topic, we can see, I guess, the way the country wanted to go. They had the deadline for, I guess, 2035. Rishi and the boys, and now Labour have jumped out of the boat and said, "Oh, they're not even going to cover any green initiative." And you could see the infrastructure. I don't know about the grid. I know that's something that a lot of people don't think about. But as you said about the charging. Is there enough even charging points across the UK to even, meet them targets?
Again, I guess it depends where you are. Right now we're sat in London, and I know that around here, local councils have been clever enough to convert lampposts into charging. I live out in the countryside, sort of down on the south coast near Southampton, and I wouldn't want to be delivering delivering bits and pieces around the New Forest, because you'd be literally having to steal someone's electric if you ran out. So I guess going back to for the right people, we probably are ready.
Yeah, and I think on the last stats I've seen with kind of the congestion, there's I think 15 major cities in the UK, I believe. There's been a few that have pushed back for evident reasons, I guess, what you could see what happening in London, Tristan. But looking at the kind of the landscape within these kind of congestion areas, you can kind of see a lot more, I guess, eco-friendly vehicles that don't have four wheels. For the cargo bikes, the scooters nearly got knocked off by one on the way into work today. So have you guys seen anything that, I know we don't unfortunately have a scooter exchange just yet, but have you kind of seen that come through the door about insurance queries?
No, is the short answer. We're predominantly there for cars and vans, but I'm well connected with the industry. I do know people that insure these things, and there's definitely been some funky claims, and I'm sure we've all been terrified by an electric scooter.
Yeah,
here and now. I think anyone listening to this, for the minute, if I was you, I'd probably stick in the van, rather than risk your life on a scooter. But that's just me.
I've said my little daughter, she's got a scooter at the moment. Might get her out deliver parcels soon.
It's tough times. It's tough times. You've got to find the extra money where you can.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely cost me more than they give me, but I have to look them regardless. But on the point of the kind of the systems, I was seeing an article that was brought to me in regards to Paris. So they're literally going, inner city lockdown on all vehicles. So that's where I feel like that could be something that we'll see a change. Whether that's, as we say, if that's tomorrow or 10 years down the line,
it's already starting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you are one of the individuals or one of the companies that is really in the middle of the cities, and you can operate a fleet of electric vehicles, cars, vans, whatever, insurance is no barrier at all to you. Just talk to your broker, talk to us, and we can sort that out for you. And I think those people, we're ready. It's just when you go out past that into the sort of towns and villages out there.
Yeah, and it's interesting to say. And I could see one of our biggest low posted area at the moment at Warrington. There's a bit of a 50-50 battle on going on there. So I would say most of our members at the moment are probably siding with hopefully not getting caught up in it.
I'm sure you have similar issues in the far southwest where I've got family.
Yeah.
They would really, really struggle. And equally in some of the sort of more northern parts of Scotland, I'm sure there are probably not many charging points attached to a mountain.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've seen the hit and miss of fleets. I believe I forget the name actually, but they took out the whole grid over in America. So and they've shut down a few hydrogen in California, like the actual Shell plants that were just for the hydrogen cars. They're not even doing well at the moment.
You mentioned shutting down the grid. I think there's a few articles out there saying that if everyone plugged in their electric car or van, it would bring down the UK grid. A colleague of mine was recently got an electric vehicle, and he actually taught me that when he had his charging point installed, it's actually the Wi-Fi. I have to connect it to the Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi tells the grid when to start charging the vehicle.
Oh, wow.
Whilst I was under the impression that you plug your vehicle in and it just charges.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Oh.
You leave it overnight. Apparently there is a Wi-Fi link up to the grid. And I guess the theory is that between those hours, maybe 12 to 5 a.m., for example, when most of us are asleep, that's when most of the electric charging gets done so that the grid is being managed. And to find that out was quite a crazy story. It's quite cool that they can sort that out, but it also gives a massive insight into, are we ready? Clearly quite not. Obviously, you talk to drivers of all sizes and shapes all day. What would be your top 3 tips to any of the members to reduce the carbon footprint?
Yeah, well, look, it's a great question. We're consistently asked that on the onboarding team gets it as well, inbound, outbound, when speaking to members, current, or, owner drivers that are potentially, new to the industry. So we kind of I'd say number one, on this generally topic is maintenance. But before, buying the vehicle, getting it checked out at a mechanic that's registered in your area, and making sure that vehicle is up to standard before taking it out. You don't want that breaking down. And then, as I said, the word maintenance moving forward, because you're going to be doing a lot of mileage. Any same day courier should know that there's a lot of work that goes in. joining the transport exchange or just being a courier. So that mileage will take its toll on the vehicle. Consistent maintenance on the platform, maybe, having the vehicle, checked out using the correct coolants, etc. And then that will help you then covering them backloads. And then, obviously, driving out empty. And the third one, and probably the final one, is probably optimization, especially if you're using a tool like the courier or haulage exchange. You'll see tools on that to, get yourself the maximum out of your vehicle, your fuel, backloads, etc. So using them kind of, 3 key points I would obviously let any person know. But from an insurer point of view, is there anything, you would let, any potential new drivers know before starting out?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first one is you might be starting with one vehicle, you might be starting with more than one. We've all got our own budgets. The newer vehicle you can buy, the greener it's going to be. It really is just that simple. If you can go electric, fantastic. If you can go petrol, great. If you have to go diesel, the newer it is, then naturally the manufacturer is going to pay more attention to those CO2 emissions, right? Number 2 is management of your driving. And whether that is you as a large fleet operator, keeping track of the individual drivers, whether they're speeding, whether they're burning additional fuel, whether they're taking an inefficient route, or you as an individual. We can help you out with even basic apps that can track all of this stuff for you, so that when you get home, you can have a look at perhaps where you can do better in regards to all those things I just mentioned. Generally, we'll talk about the ABCs, accelerating, braking, cornering, and speed, but tweaking those down in all seriousness. And that route management one, you can just save miles and miles of fuel for yourself, and ultimately that passes on to carbon emissions, right? My personal favourite, though, it's just because it's like I observe a lot in the close that I live. There's a number of drivers, lovely guys, who will pull into the close and they'll have deliveries to do, various houses, and they'll leave the van running in the middle of the close, and they'll get out and they'll spend 5-10 minutes walking around and delivering everything. And of course, the whole time the vehicle is on, sometimes there's music blasting out, and they're just burning fuel unnecessarily. But to bring it right back to that insurance angle as well, if somebody drops in that van and drives it off, your van's gone, the goods are gone, and no insurer is going to pay the claim because the vehicle's been left unsecured and turned on. That is a big one that we can all do that won't cost us a penny. Yeah,
that's I've many a times got the doorbell rang, maybe from an Amazon driver or something like that. By the time I get there in my underpants, the parcel's there, but the driver isn't.
But perhaps they see you in your underpants, so it'll be faster to run back to them. Get up and drive off and stop betting those, right?
Tristan, obviously we're here now, but what's the future going to look like? So, from an insurer's point of view, what do you think the impact of EVs is going to be?
I think long term it should be good news. My experience of EVs is they come with some pretty funky, pretty clever technology. Without doubt, that's going to advance into crash avoidance, help with route planning, flag up driver tiredness warnings, but in a much more advanced way than we see today. And that should just mean less crashes, less issues, and that means cheaper insurance. So, Carl, I know what everyone is dying to know. What are the future plans for TEG and TEG?
Yeah, well, look, I guess we can do a bit of Back to the Future, a bit of Marty McFly. We've got Doc down in the TEG laboratory cooking up a few new things. I think the main thing is from our shippers' perspective. They have their own customers, and we've got to be conscious about that. And them customers there, they're getting it from their customers all the way up the supply chain, that we need, to be shown our carbon footprint is good. So one of the main thing I think we're going to be green tagging any vehicle that is low emissions, so it's more visible for the actual shipper to then, cover that. So, very simple, but, these things, the simplest things are usually the ones that are in plain sight. So that's definitely coming. And then also we were very successful with, over the last, I think 2 years ago, we brought out what's known as price per mile report, just giving, statistics for the drivers to kind of predict the rate. So it's a bit more on the emission side. It's going to be like an emissions report. So you're going to know exactly what your vehicle's emissions are from the day that it runs, maybe on a monthly report. So that's definitely down there. Obviously you have your mileage, your vehicle, your weight, and, being able to let the driver or the company know what kind of their emissions are. And then I believe a more detailed route optimization through the platform. So, you can simply just press a button, I guess, Hopefully everything's at a touch of a button these days, and that will probably plan out the most efficient route for you. We have it on GPS, on your Google, but I think it's just more to, exactly know, kind of on a cost and emissions point of view. But you guys over in, BCD, do you have anything coming up? For instance, is it cheap? I always wondered actually, is it like cheaper to get, your, I guess a lower emissions vehicle insured than, one of the gas guzzlers we spoke about earlier on?
I know we spoke about it quite a lot today. Newer vehicles will generally attract lower premiums because they're breaking down less. They're more efficient. So there's no right or wrong answer to that, because ultimately you're insuring more than just the vehicle. You're insuring the driver. And so the history of the driver can have a massive impact on it. So I guess I can't really answer your question as a straight yes, no on that one. I can answer your question in terms of future plans for BCD. We're going to borrow a popular marketing slogan here, and we think we're probably the largest van broker for couriers in the UK. We want to become, over the next 3 years, industry leading, known as the number one broker in the UK, and we'll do that by working with TEG. We've worked for a long time. Your members get exclusive discounts through us, due to both, I guess, the size of the membership, but ultimately the performance of it for the insurers is good. Otherwise, they'd be telling us otherwise. We'll continue to design products. So I'm not sure if our laboratory is quite as cool as yours, but we've got a laboratory, and we are looking at new fleet products with some of those apps that I've mentioned previously today to help bring down fuel costs, to make businesses greener, to save them money. But not just the vehicle insurance, also the stuff in the back of the vehicles, the goods in transit, the cargo insurance, public and employers liability. We've got a range of new products coming out of there that are first and foremost cheaper, but also designed to cover you in the right way, so that you don't get any of those expected claims and issues that can cause a business real problems. But I guess the headline is that in the next 3 years, can we become factually the number one courier broker in the UK? And I believe we can. For vans, for cars, for fleets, regardless of the fuel type, regardless of the vehicle type, and ultimately we'll be here to work with you to support people on making their businesses greener as well. Yeah,
and I feel being on the phones over the last few years, fleets or owner drivers I have sent to BCD, the positive response, very streamlined, quick, affordable. And it's good that we've worked together in, so many years. As we spoke earlier on about, I guess, the fleet's growing and doubling. And you said you've about 9,000 plus vehicles.
Insure well over 9,000 vehicles.
Crazy.
It's been a long 10 years. It's been a fun 10 years, but, we go again. Hopefully we'll say doing this podcast again, maybe in 10 years' time, and everyone will be driving electric vehicles, and we'll all be happy and 2 or 3 times the size than what we are now. Yeah,
and if we keep going as we are, I guess that BCD TEG relationship will be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, I guess.
I think that's the best place to finish.
Yeah. So thanks very much for listening and viewing today with myself and Tristan. If anything you found insightful today, whether on the insurance side or, Transport Exchange Group, you want to reach out, maybe you're thinking about, making that big leap into becoming a courier, reach out to ourselves or BCD, and look, we'll be able to help you with, any of your needs.
And just to support Carl on that, we're not just here to sell you an insurance policy. You don't need to be a customer of ours. If you just want to have a chat, you just want to have some advice, you want to read the website, all the details will be posted after this, and all are welcome. Please do get in contact.